Okay, I was trying to add you to stream. All right, we're live. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Ooh,
I need to turn that off.
let's share the link.
Oh, what a day! What a day! What a day!
I can imagine. You know how them Charlotte's days go. Hi,
You got
everyone.
a lot of noise, a lot of stuff going on over there.
A noise. Let me share this link. Let me share this link.
You just repeated. That was weird. Like you
Because
acted.
my phone was on. I joined on my phone and then.
Okay.
We have one person in here. The things, when you schedule lives like a few days in advance, what I've noticed is that it doesn't pop up like on the day that it's coming. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, when I go to my YouTube
Mhm.
subscriptions, it didn't come up today. It like comes up like, I don't know if it's the day you schedule it, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's what I was looking at. But let
I
me
think you also have to like we didn't do anything in the community tab. I think you also the day of need to like remind. I forgot like remind people in the community tab besides just scheduling it. Hi Russell, how are you doing?
Nice to see you. Okay. We got a few people in there. Hello, hello, everyone. Let us know where you're calling from. Just put it in the chat box. Let us know where you're at. I can't remember where you are, Russell. Are you in North Carolina?
I think so.
I can't remember. Let us know. Let me just put it in the community real quick. But well,
Hello.
yeah, it's coming up as June 18th. That's what I'm saying. Like, it literally comes up as a June 18th video. I think it's because that's the day it was scheduled for initially. I don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Where you calling from? Oh, Georgia. Okay, okay. You're in Georgia. Okay. Hi, watch them ends. Where you calling from? where are
Calling
you?
from or joining from?
Where you joining from? Yeah, where you watching from? Okay, Georgia, Decatur, Georgia. All right. All right. Hello, hello, everyone. I know is it a little late? I don't know. Sometimes we struggle about what time is too
I think this
late.
is like the perfect time.
Yeah, sometimes we feel like we do it too early and it's too early. People are still out enjoying their weekend, and sometimes you don't want to go too late because people, have work to get ready for. Okay, Dallas, nice. You're my neighbor. Nice, nice, nice. All right. So in this video, we came up with this topic. It's actually been watching a few videos keep popping up on my watch now, specifically CNBC. We have it linked in this live, but it's some really interesting conversations going on this year, particular to renting versus buying, right? So there's a lot of information out, and this year has been really historic in terms of one of the few times where renting may make more sense than buying due to increased interest rates, post pandemic, housing shortages, a number of different reasons. Despite that, people are still buying, and it's not to say it's not a good time to buy. If you have it, if you're ready, we can't really time markets, as we've learned when it comes to stocks, real estate, all that stuff. So this video is actually really interesting. So what we're going to start off with, just playing some clips, some major points in the video while people are joining. Make sure you like the video, share it, and then we'll get into a conversation afterwards. All right. So we're trying to try something a little different. So bear with me. I have it open up.
Short clips. Short clips.
Huh?
Short
Oh yeah,
clips.
yeah. I literally have like timestamps of the video. I'm not about to play this whole 18-minute video. Like, that's crazy. So yeah. So we're gonna. Can you see my screen?
I just see you.
Let me see. This is just okay. I'm gonna change my screen.
I still see you. I don't see the screen.
Tap the screen share.
Mhm.
Up. Room.
I mean, I guess we can just summarize what the clips say, right?
There's a lot to summarize. I mean, you could like start conversation while I'm doing this, but I'm just trying to. I think it would just be
No,
easy.
Russell Nguzzi lives in Houston, and I live in Charlotte. I put Edgemont. I need to be changing my name when I enter. That's just a natural name. I need to be changing it. Can I change it now?
Yeah, I think you can if you click the little dots. Okay.
Oh, I did get to change my name. Yeah, so less confusion. I've never changed my name. Okay, I just realized that. Yeah, Nena's in Charlotte and Ngozi is in Houston, Texas. Yes. So basically we talked in our last live about 2 weeks ago. This topic came, was it 2 weeks ago? Our last live? What was that live about 2 weeks
It was
ago?
2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm.
We talked about 2 weeks ago, we talked about uncovering the truth behind luxury apartments and the affordable housing crisis. Oh, got it. Yeah. So that was kind of related to this. Like, I guess because we were talking about housing, we're like, okay, let's just at least keep on this movement versus going and talking about something else random, right? It makes sense that we keep it a little bit related. And we were talking about in that video the current issue of luxury apartments and how things are just getting so expensive, and a lot of apartments are being built, and a lot of times they're not building them that greatly. They're not necessarily even luxury. They just put maybe like one amenity like a gym, then slap on the title of luxury because they know that that's what will allow them to charge exorbitant prices that people will pay. We also mentioned about affordable housing. Like, why can't there be new property being built that's affordable? Like, why does everything new necessarily have to be luxury, right?
Right.
But it's all about the money. They could do that if they really wanted to, but they wouldn't be able to make as much money on regular style apartments versus luxury apartments. So, it is, end of the day, it's a business. So now is even more of a time I can get why people are like, why not just buy, right? If I'm going to spend $2,000 a month on rents, and some people call it throwing money away. It's so funny because I just came back from my friends get together and he was talking about like the rent he paid around 2,000, and someone was like, oh, you could pay a mortgage. It's just kind of annoying when people always say that. It's like, obviously people know that, right? Someone that's paying $2,100 or $2,000 a month in rent knows that they can buy a house. Like, I feel
They
like,
may not necessarily be able to buy a house. That's
right,
the
that's what I'm saying. Or not to know about, or at least they know that their rent is substantial. But what I
right.
think people are missing out on is that, listen, let's call a spade a spade. Someone that's willing to spend $2K, $2,500 on rent, imagine the type of house they're gonna want. That's what y'all need to understand. Like, let's compare apples and apples and oranges, right? Like, someone that's willing to invest that much money into an apartment, they most likely have a certain type of taste. They want a certain type of environment. They want a certain type of neighborhood for the most part. You get what I'm saying? So, like, it's not that translatable to say, oh, if you pay 2K on rent, you can own a house. With a 30-year mortgage, if someone wants a 15-year mortgage, that may not be possible. I'm pretty sure the 2,000 is like nothing for 15-year mortgage, especially if your house costs, like, we're talking to this. I met a girl last week through my cousin, and she was talking about she's been looking to buy a house in Charlotte, and her budget is 350K. We were screaming like, "What? That's good! Like, how are you?" She said she can't find anything for 350K. I'm like, "What? Like, that's actually reasonable." Then we started listening. Okay, why are you having issues? Kind of because we're like, that's a decent budget for a single person. 350. That's a solid budget. Like, why? Okay. She started complaining about the places she goes to. The rooms are too small, so she wants space. She also wants a certain neighborhood. She doesn't want to be too far away. She also, like, name it. I was like, okay, maybe I understand more of now, like, why it's a little challenging for you, because she just doesn't want any house. You get what I'm saying? She just doesn't want a house, like, people. She doesn't want to fix
specific things.
She currently lives in South End. For the people that know the South End neighborhood of Charlotte, South End is one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Charlotte. She's used to a certain environment. She's used to a certain vibe. She's used to a certain experience, and she wants that same thing in a house. But obviously, we know to buy a house in the South End area of Charlotte, the prices are crazy. Right. They're crazy. Like it's really, really expensive. So 350 is. She's like, that's nothing. I can't get anything I want with 350. And we were shook. Like, what? 350,000? You can't get a house? But then it makes sense because she wants a certain. I think that's what I'm trying to make. Like, most likely people that are willing to pay high prices for apartments, they're also going to want a high quality, a high luxury, kind of a luxury house as well. Like, it goes both ways. Most likely someone that's paying $2,000 in rent is not going to go buy a fixer upper house. They're not going to want like a house. It's just, you got to look at it from both angles. So like, I get it, especially with paying high rent now. It's like, why not just have something to say you own it? Why not just because my cousin was there too, and she was talking about like, well, when she was trying to look for a house, her budget was a little lower, maybe like $250,000. And she was talking about like the rent and what it was equaling up to. And I was like, okay, but my argument could be that if you're already paying like $1,500 for rent, even if your mortgage and tax are going to be $2,000, at least
it's the house. It's going for it.
Like, I could see someone's like, well, I don't look at it that way. I'm like, how do you not look at it that way? Because even though it's $500 more you have to pay a month, you can still you could cut down expenses from other areas.
She's saying she'll look at the ways that if she can't afford it, she can't afford it.
Yeah, that's
if it's $500 more and it's better investment, it doesn't mean that, oh, this is a better, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter to her, because if she can't afford it, she can't afford it.
I guess that's what she was saying, but for me, I was like, if you can already pay $1,500, and mind you, I'm not someone that's like crazy about how, like, I don't mind renting as long as I have money. If I'm rich, I'm rich. If I want to rent, I'll rent. If I want to buy, I'll buy, like, whatever. But I was like, I could get some people's argument is like, if you could already pay $1,500 towards rent, even if the mortgage is $2,000, can't you squeeze $500 from somewhere? Can't you cut costs in other areas and at least say that you're putting this money into something that's yours, something that's going to give you equity, something that in the long term is you'll be able to view as an investment? She's like, no, I don't see it like that. Like, if I don't want to pay more than what I'm paying now. I don't want to have. I'm like, okay, I see it from both ways. And guys, are you still trying to play this video?
Yeah, this thing's giving me some issues. But yeah, so this is a bummer, man. I really wanted to play this. I'm on like side. I took all notes about the sections. It's just not letting me share my screen. I don't know. I didn't think it should be this difficult. Like, I'm trying to share my screen and it's just, oh, okay, cast screen. Let's see.
Did you just play present?
Yeah. Did you see my screen?
Share screen. Like, I think you're making this hard. Go to the bottom, press present.
Oh, wow. Lies. You lie.
I don't know what you're looking for, but you're making this much more complicated than whatever you're doing.
See, you're so smart. You should have been told.
This is a lesson, y'all. Going to school is not everything. It's not about having higher education, master's, PhD. Some things are just basic common knowledge.
Because when you never do something, everything's
I never shared the screen either, but I saw it right there in my face.
Okay, sorry, y'all. Sorry for the discrepancies. We're about to start, all right? So we're getting into this. I'm going to show you some clips. We're not watching the whole 18-minute video, so don't get scared, but this is a really good video I want y'all to pay attention to, all right? So let's start off with an introduction. Basically, just to give a little background, starts off with a single mom wants to buy a house, never has enough money, always something. We know it's not easy, even with two family households in this economy. So she ends up getting married again. And she's her new husband, they want to buy a house. So that's just giving you a little intro. Now we're going to start with the realtor talking about the market.
Factor in. This is an extraordinarily unique market because of the pandemic and because there was such a run on housing. So you have home prices very high. You also have rents very high.
On average, across the 50 largest United States metro areas, a typical renter pays about 40% less in rent than a first-time homeowner. However, that's not the case for everyone.
We'll be paying close to the same amount, but not have any of the amenities. It just makes more sense to make this move.
Prospective homeowners and investors often travel across the country and sometimes even the world, seeking more affordable markets. Right now, a few of those places are Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Baltimore, Maryland.
It doesn't matter if the market gonna crash or not. Something gonna happen, but we're not sure what. Maybe it's gonna be back again, maybe it's not. We're gonna keep going, doing it.
I don't think so.
And this
All right, so just giving I could go back for just giving y'all a little synopsis. So basically, they're talking about the market. This is unprecedented times. They go in the next clip. I don't think I need to really play that. They're going in talking about how they had a fire 2019 in their house. They had savings. They were saving money towards buying a house, and they had to use that money to basically get new accommodations, live somewhere else. The husband ended up taking a job that pays him $20,000 less than the job he initially had. The wife had to leave. She just had a child like a week before the fire. She had to stay at home with her child. So just to show you, life has ups and downs, and things happen. There's a reason why I feel like sometimes, especially in this day and age of the market, people try and just simplify home ownership. And I feel like a lot of times, sometimes it's insensitive, because there's a reason why people who may want to buy haven't bought yet. Of course, we say, oh, there's no excuse if we don't want to do something. We get that, blah, 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 but life happens. All right. Life really happens to people. So they end up having a setback, and why they haven't been able to purchase a house until now.
Hey, Mia.
Let me go into
Buy everything else that we had lost. The house was just totally taken off the table. And as a man, you don't want that for your wife and your kids. Like, you want to be able to provide. March 16th, 2020, I get a phone call from my boss, like, hey, we're closing up.
Meanwhile, Stephanie was on maternity leave and demoted as a result of the pandemic. Within a few months, Leland found a new job. While it pays about $20,000 less than his previous job, the family is finally back on track with their savings. On April 4th, 2023, they closed on their first home.
Tatum talks all the time about going to the new house, going to the new house. Is it our time yet? That's what she says.
It's not my turn.
It's not your turn. You're right.
It'll be your turn soon. I cannot wait to see her face when we walk in the door.
After about a decade of record low mortgage rates and record high home prices, the United States housing market has slowed down. From January 2022 to January 2023, sales declined by 37%, and while prices increased 1.3% during the same time, those numbers drastically fluctuated throughout 2022. And while it's often been said that buying a home is better than renting, it's not as straightforward right now. In December 2022, in 45 of the 50 largest U.S. metros, it was more cost-effective to rent than buy. That's up from 30 markets from the prior year. In the top 10 metros that favored renting, monthly starter homeownership costs were an average of $1,920 higher than rents. And the gap is only getting bigger. In December 2022, in the 45 areas favoring renting, renters saved more than $900 on average, whereas in 2021, renters saved about half of that.
We saw the 30-year fix go from less than 3% to over 7% in the course of just 1 year. That's very dramatic. And that made that monthly payment more than twice what it was the year before, and unaffordable for a lot of folks. So that's why the housing market really stalled in the fall. Interestingly, we did see it bump back up in January when the 30-year fix pulled back towards 6%. People really rushed in. We saw pending home sales, which are a measure of signed contracts. That's people out shopping for homes during the month. That jumped over 8% in January compared with December. And that was surprising, but it was people saying, okay, maybe I've got a chance to get in.
As for the 5 areas in 2022 and 20 areas in 2021 where buying made more financial sense, families saved about $240 on average in both years. And Cleveland was number 1 on that list in 2021. While the city has since flopped to the other side according to averages, it's not by much. The Jernigans purchased this home for $285,000, about $100 per square foot. And the average rate on the 30-year fixed is 6.44% as of April 2023. The Jernigans locked in 6.625%, taking their monthly principal and interest to about $1,800.
If we stayed here, we would pay $1,700 a month. We would pay $300 and something for storage. Huge area for my mom, a huge bedroom for us. The girls can have separate bedrooms that are bigger than the ones that they have now.
So the bottom part is all of your grandma's and the top part.
All right. So you see, they discuss the difference right now with the market. And they mentioned buying this house for $285,000. Cleveland is a really interesting city. Ohio overall as a state in terms of real estate, what's happening there right now. But I don't know if you guys caught it. They also mentioned their grandma. So their grandma's going to live in a house with them. And you'll later see in the video that she's contributing as well. So I'm bringing that up because I think that it's really interesting to see how, or it's really important to understand, like, when you see the overall picture, breaking down the numbers and seeing different people's situations, because especially when you have a lot of people living together, houses, when you really start to see even more of the benefits of living in a house versus renting, because you have the space, you know what I mean? They talk about their children having separate rooms, they have a few kids, they're married, and then a mother's going to live with them as well. So
Are you playing more of it, or we could take the video off the screen?
just this last part, I'm gonna play this last part. 15 minutes. Okay, they go into the pros and cons of it, or what the pros and cons of renting to them are. I'll just play this part.
Pros include
Hey guys, welcome to Forward. We're a new type of doctor's office that's
having the ability to can pick up and move anytime during a time like this. There are, of course, pros and cons for each. Let's start with renting. The pros are that you don't need to worry about repairs and you can pick up and move anytime. Cons include giving your money to someone else, building equity on their investment as opposed to your own. You don't have as much control over how long you can stay, and rent can change at any time if you're not in a rent-stabilized home. You also have no say in renovations, construction that I can attest can be extremely loud, and you're likely limited to how much you can change the space to your liking. Moving on to buying, pros include having the ability to do what you want with the space, you're investing your money in something that will hopefully appreciate, tax incentives, you could stay as long as you would like, more financial predictability as long as you have a fixed interest rate, and of course, pride in owning your own home. The cons? You'll likely be in a smaller space for the same price than if you were renting if you're buying in an urban area, and you have a lot more financial responsibilities, including upfront fees such as a down payment and closing costs, not to mention property taxes, likely a mortgage, and condo and maintenance fees depending on the type of home you purchased. The best way to make this decision for yourself is to take a closer look at your finances.
You don't buy a house based on the price of the house, you buy it based on the monthly payment. That's going to be principal and interest and insurance and property taxes. If that calculation works for you and it's not that much of your income, perhaps a third of your income, then it's probably a good bet for you, especially if you expect to stay in that home for more than 10 years. You will build equity in the home over the long term. Renting a house is really just throwing money out.
For the Jernigans, that calculation looks like this. If they renewed their lease, their rent would go up to $1,700 per month. Plus, they pay $340 for storage and $50 per month for renter's insurance, bringing their monthly expense to $2,090. But at their new house, their monthly principal and interest will be $1,792. Plus, mortgage insurance will be $125, and estimated escrow, $447, bringing their monthly payment to about $2,365. If you subtract the $1,000 Leland's mother's contributing, which is $100 cheaper than what she would be paying in rent, that brings their total monthly expense to $1,365. This move, expanding their space threefold and allowing them to take care of Leland's mother, will be saving them more than $700 per month.
Most will see their housing wealth grow over time. Is that 20 years? Is that 30 years? It depends on how long you want to be in the home. If you only expect to be in a market for perhaps 5 years, it might be better to rent because that's not a long enough term to see real housing wealth grow. So it depends on what your trajectory is for living somewhere versus how much you want to invest.
What makes sense for you and your family is also going to depend on where you plan on living.
In the first 2 years of this pandemic, we saw a run on what we call the Sun Belt. That is areas that are in the South, also areas like Phoenix and Las Vegas. Huge sales numbers there, a huge run on housing, and home prices jumped dramatically. In those markets now, we're now seeing them pull back just as strongly as they jumped. And that's because of higher mortgage rates and lower affordability because it's much more expensive to buy there now. One interesting market, though, that has just been off the charts and is Miami. We saw tons of people leaving New York City, leaving the Northeast, even California tech workers moving to Miami, and that still hasn't faded.
All right. So I hope that gave a nice background, but as you can see, she literally touched on the things we're discussing, right, Nana? So you talked about like the price point. I see the point you're making earlier. We talked about discussing with our cousin or whatever, but some people really do have in a mind that they have a budget. It doesn't mean because this may be more value or this may be a better price, a better investment in the long term. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But look at how they broke down where they're currently renting versus where they're buying now. And like I said, there's several factors involved. They have a large family. They're paying every month for storage. I don't know about. I've never paid for storage. Maybe in college, like a few months we were moving or something. But like I don't currently pay for storage. But for a lot of people who are living in a smaller place and have family, they can't fit everything in their apartment. So storage is a bill that like a monthly bill that they were paying like $300 something for, on top of rent increasing. So we don't know what their rent was at the time, but their rent has increased. So now they're paying about that amount. And then even when they broke it down, that house was a little more expensive, but then the mother is now coming to live with them and paying $1,000, which is a significant amount of money for someone to contribute to your overall household expenses. And then that's what ends up making it be a better deal and a better investment for them to, you know, have a house that's 3 times the size of their apartment. So like we said, everything is situational, right? You have to weigh things for yourself. You know, like your situation, what makes more sense for you, what's a better investment for you, you know what I mean? But she also mentioned the Sun Belt, which I've been hearing a lot about, and I had to look it up. And we're actually in this. I'm in the Sun Belt. Texas is in the Sun Belt. So the Sun Belt is like a lower part of California, a little bit of Nevada. Hi, Ziggy. Hi. Hello. Hi, everyone. So a little bit of Nevada, which is she's talking about Las Vegas, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, a little bit of Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida. So that's the Sun Belt. And in terms of real estate, the Sun Belt has been doing really, really well recently. So yeah. So it's just basically to sum it up, because you know this was piggyback off the live we had 2 weeks ago. This market is really
Sign off right.
Pharma money. Thank you. No, it's not easy. You know what I had to prep for this right now, like all the research and the reading and stuff is not easy. But
you know, real estate is like a whole nother world.
Real estate, like people. And also, I guess we're known. People try and simplify, like, oh, just go buy a house. Blah, 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 blah. Like, do you know, like people enter. Let me even give you a personal story right now. Let me give you guys a game. I was looking through like some old documents. Something that happened this week. I was looking through stuff, and I looked at my household that me and my sister grew up in, and saw the price my mother bought that house in 2022. The people we bought it from,
huh? She bought the house in 2022.
2002. Oh. 2002. That's almost 21 years ago. The people she bought that house from was in 1998. They bought it in 1998. That means they only been living there for 4 years. They bought that house for half the amount they sold it to my mom. Literally exactly half, like to the T, 50%. Like that's just like when I saw that number and I told my, I'm like, that's insane. Like, how could you buy something? It's like literally me buying a house now in 2023, and then I'm selling it for double the price 2027. Like that is crazy. And that's honestly that's the power of real estate, right? That's the power, because the reality is that even if I have a good job, if I sat there and tried to save that money, it's only but so much I can save. But when you have equity, when you have real estate, when you have assets, when you have things working for you, if the market is good, right? Like I said, that was obviously I don't know.
That's when real estate was really big.
Yes, and we don't know the condition they bought that house. If they bought it for that cheap, the house was probably a little run down. They did make renovations. They did have to put.
When we bought the house, that house was a little.
But imagine what they bought it for 4 years ago for that price. The house had to really be like they didn't do any work. Like they still updated stuff. They made that downstairs area like into a little room. Like they fixed it. They put money somehow into it. I don't know the amount, right? But they had to have put something in it. But even if let's say they put 50K in, they still made like over 100K.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I understand why people keep pushing real estate, because like you said, even if you have a good job, there's only so much you can. There's only so much.
Real estate is amazing, but I think the question now becomes like right now, like we even talked to our mother about like, why not just sell your house? Go. But the argument now is like, there's a market. My mom was like, people gonna sell my house and go where?
Where?
And that's why relocation has become so big, right? Because those are the people that are really gonna get the maximum effect of selling their houses. If you sell your house in an expensive area and then go somewhere cheaper. But right now, if my mother sells a house in New Jersey, yeah, she might make good money, but then she's gonna go buy another expensive house in New Jersey.
Right.
Like, she's like, what is me selling my house? Because where am I gonna go? I have to live somewhere.
A lot of people are in that fix. People are telling them buy, sell, but sell and go where? If you're not really trying to relocate, like to Florida, Texas, maybe, one of these cheaper states, you end up still making that money, putting it right back into another expensive house in the same place where you're at. So you understand why people choose to stay. But I think is really interesting. And that video is linked in this live in the description box. Literally says rent versus buying. Which one makes more sense in this current real estate market? This real estate market right now is very unique. Like it's almost something that's like never been seen before in terms of like even jumbo loans have a lower interest rate than conventional loans right now, which is like hasn't been seen in forever. So Ziggy said, yep, folks sell their house in California and move to Texas, get the value. Yeah. And that's why prices are being driven up here. As you can see where we are now, my friend showed me this beautiful apartment. Oh my gosh. She sent me the video. She's looking for places. Her lease is gonna be up soon. And she really wants like that luxury, like penthouse, top floor, 2-bedroom, 2 baths. If you see the prices she was calling for me.
Ew! Come on, you luxury 2-bedroom is a scam. I'm sorry. I feel like I really can understand
someone don't have a roommate.
It's just to live by yourself. Like 2-bedroom luxury is really expensive.
The place she showed me, was that one of them was like 3,000. It was crazy. 3,000 plus. Well over 3,000.
That's when I could really be like, someone could be like, yeah, you can get any mortgage you want.
Premium area.
1,000 plus. You can get most mortgages you want.
I will send you that video. Do you know how hard it is to find rooms with no carpet? All wood everywhere. From the walk-in closet, her room.
Was that Post Oak?
It's Archery Park. It's kind of like it's like Houston always has these up and coming little neighborhoods that they gentrify a little, then they slap one price tag on it, and everyone starts losing their mind. But it's like Archery Park. One of them she looked at wasn't Post Oak though. There's another very popular one in Post Oak as well.
Like, I can understand more of when it gets really wild, like 3,000s. People saying like, yeah, you should just buy it because with 3,000, there's nowhere you can't get a decent house. 3,000 with 3,000 plus. But at the same time, if that's what you want, that's okay too.
I understand. Number one thing, let's consider something else. We talk about this stuff, lifestyle. Right. People don't think about lifestyle. I'm telling you this. I've gone to apartments, luxury. People living, if they want to buy 3 houses, they can buy it.
They own houses already.
They own houses. They own multiple properties. People don't think about. They mentioned that in the pros versus con lifestyle. And so this. I went to my cousin's house. He has a beautiful house he just bought like last year, yesterday. He's in a suburb of Houston. And he was saying he tells his friends when they're moving here, don't come and live in Katy. Don't come and live in all these suburbs. Like you need to live in Houston. Unless you're moving down here, you have a family, you know people, like you don't mind driving 50 minutes to go out, 45 minutes to go out. Don't even after moving in Houston, you need to be living in certain areas within Houston. And yeah, you have to be willing to pay a little more. But it's like people don't understand, like people are looking for different things. There's people who don't mind driving an hour every time they go out, as long as they can go back to their nice big house.
I could never.
And you can't fault them for that. We're all different. There's people who do not mind that. Their priority is different. There's people who don't even go out anyway. So they're not pressed about being in the heart of the city. They don't go out. They don't care for going out. That's not what they're looking at when they're looking at, where I want to buy. But let me tell you, even if you're someone who doesn't care for stuff like that to the extent, like they mentioned in the video, if you're really see the benefit in real estate for the most part when you're holding on to it for a certain amount of time. So even when you go into somewhere in the neighborhood and you don't, like, you have to look at just not how the neighborhood is now. You have to look about where this can be in the next 5 to 10 years. Like, how is this place that's developing? They're building things around my neighborhood, because those things affect the value of the market based on how much your area is developing.
Everywhere is going to kind of end up getting developed eventually.
No, but I don't think it's going to develop quicker. Quicker, exactly. Some is going to be a quicker rate.
Everywhere nowadays is going to, like, as long as you're still near a metro area, I think that's the key. Mia Chica said, Cincinnati, Ohio, apartments and houses are way cheaper than even Charlotte. I'm from Cincinnati, just moved back from Charlotte. So you moved back to Cincinnati. I meet a lot of people in Charlotte from Ohio. Really? That's like one of the most popular places I meet people from.
Really? Yeah.
That was interesting to hear that Ohio is so affordable. I'm like, then what y'all doing here? Because Charlotte,
it's not about just the money, the weather, the lifestyle.
Yeah, the lifestyle, right?
I don't suspect you, Mia, but I don't seem like much is popping in Ohio overall, especially not Cincinnati. Or I remember Cincinnati. Remember they had that basketball team with that really good guy.
Zion Williams?
No, he was a little wild. I think he got
yeah. Then like he disappeared a little bit.
Yeah, they had a really good player.
Me, are you the one that told me about Nota 101? The one that you're 5'7", he has to be 6 foot. Is that you?
It sounds like her. I think it's her.
My memory is crazy. I think that's her.
But yeah, so we mentioned lifestyle. We mentioned people try and okay, that's why we also put in the title this Rocket Mortgage One program, right? Because I feel like also too another factor which holds a lot of people back is this down payment factor, right? Because people always want to compare rent to mortgage, and I get it to an extent. That is me. People want to always compare rent and mortgage, but at the same time, you have to remember when you buy a house, you have to put down a down payment for the most part. So you can't just say, "Oh, because I paid this in rent, I can pay this as a mortgage." You also have to
because people are not putting down money, so you
Yeah.
can't do it like that.
right,
But for
right.
me, I don't know. I know there's some homeowners in the building. I won't call y'all out, but me personally, I've done a video about the Bank of America program. I just think it's weird to buy a house and not put money down, even if you're telling me not to
weird,
put it
right?
down, because I just feel like at the same time, in the long run, am I really helping myself?
It depends on what your goal is. That's the thing you have to say. Is this a house you plan to hold on for a long time? And also how much you're buying it for. If you're buying a house for $200K, don't put nothing down. It may not hit you the same as you buying a house for $500K, don't put nothing down.
Right, of course.
Because your mortgage is going to be significantly different, especially with these interest rates. So I think cost is a big factor when it comes down to how much you're going to put down and where you're going to really see like, oh, my mortgage is going to be real high because I didn't put money down. So I think it just really just depends. I'm just not that. I'm a little. I don't know. You could read your niece's.
I live in Amherst, New York. What I see is people buy newly built homes for $200K plus up to $300,000 plus live in it for 3, maybe 4 years and sell it to get the equity out of it and keep flipping. Okay, wow, $200K. I wish I could see a house for that or been a homeowner.
Ooh, that's real good.
Homeowner since.
Right.
That's very good. Isn't Amherst? Isn't that like upstate New York? If I'm not mistaken, that's that's really really good price. $200K. Yeah, I don't know if I can even get a condo in Charlotte with that.
Yeah, that's a really good price. Is that upstate New York, Eunice? It sounds Amherst. That sounds like that's definitely not the city. That's like the actual state.
Mia said the only time people move from Ohio to down south is because they think it's cheaper the weather. We always hear down south is cheaper, but apparently not anymore. So Mia, are you in Charlotte right now? Or you said I kind of got confused. Did you and just move back from Charlotte? Did you move back to Cincinnati or are you in Charlotte right now?
I'm telling you, when people say the South is cheap, or let me say particularly Houston is cheap, I'd be like, maybe back then, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, pandemic. But right now, after even just this one little over a year that I've been here, the difference I saw in prices, and I'm just like, wow, like it's not what people think. Especially if you want to be in a good area, if you want to be in a central area, you want to be an area where things are. You don't want to be far off. You want to be somewhere that's nice, somewhere that's new. It's not cheap the way people think. Like it really is. Of course, it will always be for the most part cheaper than what you're getting up north because the cost of living is cheaper. There's other factors. Pay is different for the most part, but it's not cheap per se. Like it's not as affordable as people think. Everything is getting expensive.
Yes, move back to Cincinnati from Charlotte. Oh, it's too expensive in Charlotte. They're not paying according salary.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making is that even if it's cheaper, but if you're paying less, it's not the way. You're not seeing that gain the way people. And it's not cheaper. She's saying compared to Cincinnati. Correct me. That is more expensive, and then the pay is not equaling out what they're charging in terms of. And I think the big issue, especially post pandemic, and I'm shaking this table as well, is the remote workers, right? So you have people who have moved now that they don't have to be in office anymore, and they move from maybe California, New York. They move from states that are a little more expensive, and now they can go somewhere like Houston or Dallas or Charlotte or a more affordable city and still work and get paid the same they're making when they were in their more expensive city. So a lot of us, I'm not even gonna lie, are driving up costs, and for the people living here that are getting paid based on the cost of living in the South or some southern states, it's not as easy for them. It's not like I could understand, because even though cost of living is cheaper, the pay on average is cheaper for the most part. So you can afford to compete with people who are coming with LA salaries or Manhattan salaries that are used to paying $3,000 for a box. If you tell them $2,000 for that box, they're ready to pay it. It's cheap for them because they know what they're paying in their cities. So for sure, definitely driving up costs. Ziggy said The South is no longer cheap. I'm telling you, it's definitely more affordable than the North overall, but it's not cheap. I'm telling you, I tell people don't put Houston.
I think it is. Oh, I think the issue is that where you trying to go. I think if I want to go like to Mississippi, Alabama, certain parts of South Carolina,
okay, the cities that people are moving to.
Right, that's the key. Let's not say the South is not affordable. Trust me, if I wanted to go to Winston-Salem, if I wanted to go live in other parts of North Carolina, I know how significantly less money I'll be spending on housing. But the issue that I don't want to live there. Like I'm not moving down south to. I don't want to be in Winston. No offense to anyone if you live in Winston. I don't want to live in Greensboro. I don't want to live in certain areas. Like I just feel like there's not much there. Like I want to be in the poppin' area in the South. Like I want to
even dragging. You don't even need to go to Greensboro. Go to certain parts, even within Charlotte, and you go get something that's cheap. I can go to certain people. People in Houston are still paying $900 for rent, $800. I'm telling you, they are. But if I take you to where they're going to, you're not going to want to live there.
And that's the thing. I think we can't just blame these cities. It's also our taste too, right?
It's where you want to live.
But it's also what we want.
What you're looking for, right? Because you can't say you want $1,000 rent. You're not looking for luxury at all anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere in America, you're not getting that. That's not realistic. Like wake ups, smell the coffee. Like that's not a luxury budget, and that's fine. Like we mentioned that the things they're calling luxury now is just like, what is even going on? Like they just put one basic amenity, one basic gym, throw one thing, put some pool. People in Houston, today is 100 degrees. Every day it's a pool does not make your living place luxury. That's number one. It's a standard here. Like because you see a pool in a complex does not make it luxury, but they still think that. They think once they go and throw in some measly pool, then it just right luxury. No, like that luxury. This
with three dumbbells,
luxury.
Two cardio machines,
luxury. Anything they throw that. I told you my last apartment was in the title, luxury leasing. Nothing was luxury about that place.
Well, it was one bedroom in Cincinnati's 800, Mia. Wow.
To 1,200, live in a nice neighborhood. Yeah. Woo! That's affordable for sure. Yeah. So like I'm saying, you want to go to these major cities in the South. It's not about just going to the South. You can still get affordable stuff. You just can't. I would avoid a major city. Mm-hmm. Like, you can definitely still get more affordable.
That's boring. Like, who wants to not live in a big city?
Everything's a trade-off, right? That's why we said lifestyle is important. There's people who are in Houston that are still boring. They don't go out. There's people who are in Charlotte. They don't go out. So why go and pay all that money to be somewhere you're still in your house? Someone can argue that. I'm not saying
some people rather live in a better neighborhood but live in a studio.
Right.
Like I was like the girl I remember she said in South that she lives in a studio. And I was like, wow, like I never really met anyone that lives in a studio, but she's like, I'm good. Like that's okay because she wants to be in a certain neighborhood. But some people say I'd rather live in the outskirts, have 3 bedrooms to myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's about what you value.
I'm kind of in the middle. Like I can't do 1 bedroom no more. Like I feel like at least I need like 2 bedrooms. Or not 2 bedrooms, at least like 1,000+ square feet or more.
That's like basically 2-bedroom. You're not getting a 1 bedroom, 1,000 square feet. That's rare.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I feel like
I need 2 bedroom. Right. If you want 1,000 square feet over, you need at least a 2-bedroom.
It's not impossible. 1 bedroom could have 1,000 square feet.
It's where? Have you seen one? I have all the apartments I've seen. I've never seen a 1 bedroom without it. Maybe 900. Mine is 900. Maybe 9. Even 9 something is even too high.
Right.
The highest. I mean, usually it's like 8.
I want 1,000.
If you want 1,000, you want at least even a 1 bedroom, 1 study. That's when you're gonna around that 1.5 bath, maybe not 2 bedroom, 2 bath. But yeah, so it's really interesting. But it's a lot to consider. I know we also put in a title. I don't know whether to make this a separate video about the Rocket One mortgage, 1% down that went into effect, I believe last month, May. And basically, this article talked about a lot of like the pros and the cons, and like basically about the program. You could put down at least 1.99%. Your lender puts down 2% max. You could put up you have to put in at least 1%, 0.99%. Your lender could put up 2%, and then you could put up a maximum 2.99%. You can't put more than 5% overall down. And it's like talks about like the credit score you need. And there's no PMI, personal mortgage insurance. There's a lot of benefits, but then they also talk about the drawbacks of people because they could put down so low buying a house that they can't truly afford. And that's the issue that's going on right now. Especially, I don't know much. I know some about the FHA loan. All I know is when I hear about FHA, I hear like 4%, but I haven't done too much research on those. But I know with a lot of these programs that are trying to, target first-time home buyers. Of course, this Rocket Mortgage has like a income cap. They always have something income related or neighborhood related. You know what I mean? Because people would be like running with these programs if they didn't put those if they didn't put those stipulations in place. And it talks about, making home ownership more accessible to people with these type of programs, but at the same time, not wanting people who can't truly afford to buying and end up losing the house later on down the line, which is something you don't want.
It is said Amherst on the lower end of New York near Niagara Falls, Canada. Amherst is the suburb of Buffalo, New York.
Okay, Buffalo.
Little up there, Little Ernest. I think renting is for single, busy people, and buying a house are for married couples who want to start a family and have kids, so the kids can grow up in a house, which is a steady foundation. That's honestly what I feel, but people say that that's generalizing. That's not necessarily true because now there's a big trend of single people buying houses. Like it's a big
in the houses by themselves.
Right, buying house first. And that's how I always viewed housing. But at the end of the day, it's like as we're getting older, you're not gonna just sit around waiting to be married. What if you never get married?
Right.
You want a home. Does that mean you're never gonna own a home? So I see it from both ways. And just because you're older doesn't mean that you still don't want to rent.
Right.
There's older people who don't want to be bothered with a house.
Right. And Ernest, I agree with you. And I still feel that way to an extent, but I also realize getting older that a house doesn't have to mean a 4-bedroom house in a suburb with 3 bathrooms. Like just owning could be you owning your condo. It could be a 1-bedroom condo. Yeah, it's 1-bedroom condo. You know what I mean? Like owning doesn't necessarily have to mean you go and sit in that big house by yourself. And that's what I had to reprogram my mind, because whenever I think of a house, I just think of like the house I grew up in. Not that it's big or anything, but it's too much. I wouldn't want to live in it by myself. Like that's not a goal for me, right? So like I always felt like, why would I buy a house and live in it by myself? Like it's weird, because I always thought like houses are like for families. But with this market, I feel like a lot of people feel like they're being pushed into home ownership because of the rent prices. Like they just feel as if if I'm going to pay this money, let me just put it towards equity and know that I'm building towards something. You know what I mean? That I'm building towards something that's mine versus throwing money away. The term I hate, but I get what they mean, but I just hate that term when people say rent is throwing money away, because to me, I look at it like rent, shelter, food, water, those are necessities. You have to live somewhere. So I feel like when I get what people are trying to say, even in the video, the lady said technically rent is throwing your money away. But I feel like when people say that, it's like, so the alternative for people who can't buy, what are they supposed to do? Like, right, homeless. Like I feel like throwing money away is like you saying you're wasting it. But to me, housing can never be a waste because it's an essential, it's a need.
Maybe you could say like luxury living is a waste.
Yeah, but for people,
apartments like are
renting is a waste. To me, it's kind of elitist. Like I don't like it. Rubs me the wrong way because I'm like, how about people that are renting because they can't afford to buy? Right. So where are they supposed to? They're throwing money away because they can't afford a house. Like you know what I mean? I get what they mean in the investment part and over time. I understand what they're trying to say, but when you really break down the language, it's just
not easy. It's not so simple the way some people.
I didn't even know they had all these credit stipulations. I was doing a lot of research going through this Rocket Mortgage 1+ program, 1% down. Talk about the credit scores people need. It may not sound that high, but when you get older, you realize a lot of people who have credit issues because of their past, their family may have even messed up their credit. It may not even be anything of their own nature. People have gotten sick. They end up with medical bills they can't afford. Their credit is shot. Like these numbers may not sound high, but that alone could be a barrier for someone not buying a house. Their credit scores, they're working on their credit. They're building up the credit. They may have the money, but they don't have the credit. Some people have the credit, they don't have the money. Some people have this, they don't. Even the debt to income. There's so many factors that are looked at overall. So I just feel like people should just be careful when they say certain things because it could come off just not sounding right.
Yes, so is the reason down south so expensive now is because everyone is relocating to those cities? I kind of feel like, I don't think down south is expensive in general. I think major cities are more expensive.
Cities, it's about Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Charlotte, these cities that people are relocating to. Like I said, people are moving from places that are more expensive, so they're used to paying a certain amount of money for living. I said, if you bring people in Manhattan paying $3,000 a month to live in a box, so if you give them that same box in Houston, that's $2,000. It's a steal. It's cheap. But for the average Houstonian that's making a Houstonian salary, $2,000 a month for rent is a lot.
Yes, and I haven't bought a house yet because I don't know what city I want to raise my kids in when I do have kids or settle in permanently versus an apartment you can jump up and go anytime.
And that's another fact that they brought up in the video too. Like I said, lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. The way you can sell a house for sure. I don't feel like a house should necessarily hold anyone down, but I can't lie and say that when I think of someone having a house, it grounds you a little more. Like it's not like you're gonna buy a house and then the next second you're running somewhere else, and the next like there's things you have to consider when you have a house. Like you just can't move as easily. You can still move though for sure, especially if you're young, you're not tethered to anything. It's not an excuse, but I could definitely say that renting makes it easy just to pack up, move, really go to another city, go to another country, not worry about not worry about things. So I can understand why you would be waiting to see what city you want to raise your kids, but that's also based on your partner, right, Nia? So you're saying what city y'all want to raise your kids when you do have kids or settle in permanently versus an apartment. Yeah. People have their different reasons. I don't think it's necessarily a right or wrong, it's just personal preference. I feel like when you go on social media these days, it could be a little overwhelming. The shaming, everyone should have a house at this age, everyone should have this, everyone should have this much saved, everyone. And I understand, we have more access to resources. There's a lot more things available, but people have to remember you have to do things at your own pace. Don't let anybody pressure you. Don't let anybody make you feel as if you're not doing enough or you should have more. You're going too slow. This and that. No, don't get peer pressure. At the end of the day, when you can't make those payments, all those people make you feel like you need to buy. They're not going to come there and pay a mortgage for you. Okay, so I feel like a lot of people feeling pressured and making financial decisions that are not necessarily in their best interest because they feel they should be somewhere at a certain point in their life. And I don't live my life like that. I don't live. I'm not looking at the next person. I'm doing what's best for me. What I want to do, what makes sense for me. I'm not worried about what the next person is or isn't doing. And I feel like we gotta, do things. It has to make sense for you. Don't worry about trying to how it looks on the outside. Because I feel like a lot of times people look at you like, oh, if you don't have a house, like you're broke or you're not smart with money. Like people make a lot of, it's me getting older, realizing how people make a lot of assumptions about people in general based on some things that to me don't really move me or things that are not really that important to me. But people are, it's very interesting.
We live in a very materialistic society.
Yeah. Remember, I sent you that post someone had made and people were ripping him. If you're not making six figures, you're lazy. Huh? How could someone open their mouth and say that? Like, why not? Just one comment that snap back. The problem is that you need to make six figures to even live a decent life. That's the problem that we're even starting with. Like, how could you boldly say if you're not making six figures right now, you're lazy? Some of the hardest working people I met in my life will never make six figures. Never. It's just not in their capacity based on what they're doing. And it has nothing to do with
he was targeting men, right? He was saying,
yeah. And men have to come back. Men don't like that.
I was furious because usually the narrative is that women are telling them they should make six figures, but another man to tell you, oh, why don't you make six figures? It's like,
and not to say I don't see where the point he's trying to come at. It's like, we're in a time where there's so much access to resources, training. You can go do one program.
Go back to school if you got to go back to school.
Yeah, go back. And I say you never have to go back to school because school is dead, right? You can go and do one program, one training, a few months, be a project manager or this one or that one. What's the one everyone's talking about now? Scrum, this Python. There's this one.
Scrum been out.
This one, but I'm just saying, people are really jumping on it. Like a lot of these things have been out, but it's about people understanding how to get into it without going to school and getting a degree in it, going through the other paths. That's what's making it more and more popular. But it's like, y'all gotta stop. Like because then that makes people start feeling inferior when they don't have these things and feeling like they're losing in life or they're not where they need to be. And it may not be the case. It may not be their time. You know what I mean? Like we're all different. But let us know how you feel about this renting versus buying topic. Any more comments? Make sure you like this video. Please like the video. Please like this video and share it.
Only about 4% of the U.S. population make 100K and up. So that means 96%. 96%.
I thought that number was 16%.
More. I think it's more than 4%.
Let me check right now.
Unless you say 4% of people of color, maybe, or like a certain ethnic group. But I think way more.
18%. It's going up. It's 18%. Back then it used to be like 10%. So
that's like 1 in 5. Okay, so that's reasonable. So that's not is that a crazy standard to say a guy should make six figures if it's
wait. That's how you want it. 55% make 50K a year or less. Let me get some reputable sources.
I just think it's more than 4, but it's a bit hefty. I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely think it's more than 4. Definitely
more than some are saying 11% of all working women have 6-figure income. Yeah, I'm seeing some different numbers. 18 does sound high.
18 sounds a bit high. I'm not gonna.
Let me see.
But I don't think it's as low as 4%.
Let me see Bloomberg.
I guess it's maybe 4% of the Black community. I can see that,
Yeah.
but 4% sounds low. I think way more than 4% of Americans make six figures. Any of my six-figure people in here? Y'all don't have these stats?
About a third of U.S. households make over 100K, but that's two incomes, right? We're talking about individual people.
Much easier for two people to make 100K.
For sure. That breaks it 50. That makes it 50-50.
But you would be shocked how many don't even still.
It's crazy when you put stuff into perspective, like with the cost of living and how expensive things have become, like how many people are really just, trying to survive. And then you think about these. They've also mentioned that article, rent can stabilize places, right? You mentioned that North Carolina is in a rent stabilized state, so your rent can. I believe it's the same. I believe it's the same for Texas, but that's another issue. Like you can have rent this year, then next year they can just up it how much, and like what can you really do? It's basically a way of forcing people out that are not paying enough. But you guys, please make sure to like this video. Like this video.
And how does this time work? Should we keep the 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central? So it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Do you think this is too late? Because we really have been trying to like gauge the times. Like, sometimes I even feel like it should be later than this, but I don't want to OD because, maybe from outside all day, I can be outside and come home,
I feel like later than this. I don't think it could be later than this.
10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I feel like people are up late. Like we don't be up late like that, but I feel like normal people our age, they're up later. Like I really feel like the later you go, the more success you'll get. Like with people
guys think, comment down below.
I think 9 p.m. is decent. It's still pretty late, but it's not like too late.
For you, at least for me, it's not that bad. It's 8 Central, right? But for you, he's in Atlanta. Okay, Lauren that said 9 is good. Okay, yeah, because just trying to find a time that works for both of us has just we don't want to be, changing it. We want to have like a steady time.
When are you coming to Charlotte? Do you know that yet?
Who? Me?
You. When are you coming to Charlotte?
I think it's gonna be October.
Okay.
Justina, since she confirmed that these ticket prices, I don't do last minute anymore. I have the tab open. I've been checking it. The time that I want, the ticket is like 6 something.
Yeah,
like my eyes are.
cheap.
I didn't, because number one, y'all moved y'all date over.
We told y'all that we sent y'all the invitation.
I didn't really. How many weeks ago did you send an invitation? Even if you sent an invitation, it's not up to 2 months ago. This is like if you're buying tickets, you got
the ticket you saw last week. That was reasonable. That you said you were too sleepy.
It never went down. That's what I'm saying. It never went down.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like now it's late. Like it's late right now to be. I feel like.
Really? 6 p.m. Eastern
I'll be thinking it's 8 p.m. Eastern your time, 7 mine. Like I feel like right now is late to be. People are getting ready for work, sleeping. Honestly, even me, I prefer during the week. How do y'all feel about week lives? I know your schedule is really constricted.
Won't work for me.
Yeah, I definitely prefer going live during the week. I feel like I feel like it's almost like a show slot, like on television. Like I feel like during the weekend, people are so distracted. They have other things they're doing. They're out. They're cooking. They're taking care of stuff. So I feel like during the week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, definitely not Friday, but like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday are like good days during the week to go.
I don't think Thursday's even good either. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, I like week during the week. I think it's like a nice thing to like help get people through the week, like entertainment. But we're gonna close out soon. Don't forget, you guys can if you want to, you can always leave something for us. Super chat, anything is appreciated. It takes a lot of time and energy to get ready for these lives. We appreciate you all so much. If the least you could do, please just like this video. Like it. It helps the algorithm. It helps push this video to other people. So once we end and we save it on our channel based on the title and how you all are engaging with it, YouTube messes with the algorithm and pushes it out to people. One of our lives, the one I did about my 1 year Houston update, has been doing really good. It has over 1,000 views. And lives are usually longer, so I always feel like, do people really play back lives?
People watch it, but they're not going to watch the whole thing. But even regular 10-minute videos, people don't watch the whole thing. Salt and Culture says 6 during the week is excellent too. Really?
I think
like 6. I don't mind earlier too, because then I can like go out later, like have. So, like, I just really want to know what's the best time for y'all. Like I'm down for whatever. Just I partake in Sunday Fun Day. Charlotte, we do Sunday Fun Day. So either I do it early, I'm outside after. I'm outside early, I'm doing live after. Whatever y'all want, I'm here to give it to you, live and direct. Yeah, I'm here to give you what you need. Like it's not a problem. It's just the times I've always been a bit finicky. Like I feel like we're still trying to decide like what is the best time. The both of you are right. You are giving up the beauty of big cities. I have family in Houston. I used to live in Charlotte, so I did have to make that decision in order to have a home. Yeah, like what you're talking about. That I'm Buffalo. Like I can't go there. You gotta say you gotta be real with what you're
I
saying.
just think about the cold. It sounds like it's cold up there. It sounds like you guys get some rough winters.
Do it. So you gotta be real. You gotta be real about what you are. What you really want.
Everyone is
Point
different
in life that you're in, and it's very different for different people.
We keep even within the apartments, people that Nana say you don't care for valet trash. They charging us that $25 every month for valet trash. There's people that would tell you they like that. They don't want to take out trash. They don't want to even touch it. They like
enough bills.
My trash thing is right. I'm paying it for it anyway. My trash thing is literally down there. I've thrown out my trash once. I have my days. I take out. I put it right in front of my door. They come take it. I went to my trash thing during a Saturday. I had to throw out trash one time. Is when I've gone to throw out trash, and I've been here 4 months because I'm paying for it anyway. So I feel as if let me get my money's worth. But it's not to say if I didn't have the valet trash, I would go and throw out my trash.
How much they charge your month?
$25 plus some other fees. It's not a joke, yo. These fees they charge. I still have to follow up on those fees I talked about under our live 2 weeks ago. I'm even reminded. Let me write that in my notes tomorrow to follow up on these. They charge trash and they charge this trash fee, utility fee. Then they charge this other trash fee. It's like how you guys charging three fees for one trash? Like I don't get it. Like all these fees are crazy. Eunice said, I really
living in Charlotte, but I vacation there often in Houston when it's not so hot.
Houston right now, it's a heat. It is crazy right now. I love the heat. I love heat, but this weather, you're not outside unless you buy the pool. There's no reason to be outside. It's 100 degrees right now. It's like when you walk out, you're like, wow. And then it's humid. Like
I don't like humidity. I don't like humidity.
This heat right now is too much. As much as I like heat. I like the heat, but like I said, if it's gonna be 100 degrees, you need to be by a beach. If you're not like in the water in the beach, there's no reason to be sitting out at 1 p.m. in the sun. It's too hot. It is way too hot right now. I definitely understand why some people are like, yeah, I can't tolerate it. To me, I just plan my life around it. I don't need to go out during the day. I stay in the house. If I'm going out in the evening, by evening time, it's 80 degrees. The temperature has dropped. It's nice. So I'm able to do that. But I understand some people are like, the heat is just not for me. If you don't like heat, I understand why you wouldn't come to Houston because it gets real hot here. But thank you all so much for joining. It's been fun. We look forward to our next live Sunday, I think. Next Sunday.
Not on the time. Yeah, we still confused about this time.
We'll make a poll. Let's just make a poll in the thing.
We're gonna do time 6, 7, 8, or 9.
And then Eastern time. And then we can adjust it based on Central, so we don't confuse people. We'll just put it all in Eastern time and see what time works best for people. Because I do agree. I feel like this time's a little late. I think back to when I did my Houston live. I think that's the largest attendance we had. What time that was?
Well, I was outside. I was in the streets. I remember
in the streets.
7. I feel like it was like a 6-ish, 7-ish.
Yeah, and that's Central time, which is for you an hour later. All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for joining. We appreciate you all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.